How can you move on when life gives you an unwanted surprise? We all get unwanted surprises. This video will help you know what to do when that happens to you so that you can move forward. I'm Dr. Paul Jenkins. I'm a professional psychologist and I've worked with this my entire career of almost 30 years now. There are some natural processes going on in your mind all the time. Your brain is trying to take care of you. And sometimes when an unwanted surprise shows up, our brain kicks in with exactly what it's supposed to do, but it can kind of tip us over in the process. I'll share some of these natural processes with you that your brain naturally goes through, and then some strategies that you can apply so that you don't get stuck there. Look, stuff happens. Welcome to Earth. That's how we roll here. And a lot of the surprises that show up that are unwanted, uncomfortable, painful, something we did not want to have in our life. I went through this a couple of weeks ago when I was going through an intersection. Somebody ran the red light at 40 miles an hour and boom, just nailed me. It totaled my truck. Fortunately, both drivers were able to walk away from that accident. But surprise, right? An unwanted surprise. When we experience an unwanted surprise or a trauma, our brain, in trying to take care of us, triggers chemicals into our bloodstream. These are known as the fight or flight response. Now, the fight or flight response is designed to keep you safe. See, your brain's job is to keep you safe and to prove you right. It's kind of got both of those jobs going on at the same time. And to keep us safe, our brain triggers chemicals into our bloodstream that powers up our system and puts us in a position where we can do one of two things. We can either fight or get the heck out of there. Fight or flight. It's a natural response. Here's something that I want you to understand about your unwanted surprise. You're having a natural reaction to an abnormal event. Did you track that? You're having a very natural, normal reaction to an abnormal event. Now, I'm not saying that the events are unheard of, because a lot of people go through these things, right? You're not the first person, you won't be the last, but it's abnormal to you. That's why we call it a surprise. I remember early in my career, I got some training in post-traumatic stress debriefing, or post-traumatic incident debriefing, so that we can avoid post-traumatic stress syndrome or disorder. And it's based on an understanding that we get from psychology, research, and clinical experience that when we go through one of these unwanted surprises or traumas in our life, it's important for us to be able to debrief it, to talk about it, to report it as if we were a reporter. Here's what happened. You know, I found myself doing that after this car accident. Almost everybody that I encountered, I wanted to tell them what happened. That's because of an innate need that our brain has to make sense out of this thing. And one of the ways we do that is by debriefing or talking about what happened. Please find someone that you can talk to. Do you have a therapist, a counselor, a coach? Do you have family members or friends who you can debrief with? You need to be able to tell the story. And it's totally normal to feel the feels while you're doing this. You're supposed to. In fact, allow yourself some permission to feel whatever you're going to feel as a result of it. How are you supposed to feel when this happens? Well, kind of like this. So allow yourself to feel it. Find a way to debrief it. And remember that there are no specific time limits. I still remember a client I saw early in my career who was getting a lot of pressure from her family to get over the death of her son. What is the time limit on that? There isn't one. And if people come in and say, you know, you should be over this by now, fire them. No. There are no time limits, and everybody experiences it differently depending on what the trauma was, what the nature of your relationship is, other factors that are unique to each individual. So we're going to take the timelines out of it. What has helped you the most when you've had these kinds of experiences? Would you be willing to share? Go to the comments down below. Let's see what other people are experiencing as well. Now, at some point, we do want to move on, right? We don't want to get hijacked by this unwanted surprise in our life, but we want to stay in control in an agent position where we can move forward and continue to create and live a life that we love. Now, one thing that'll help with this is a distinction that I learned from one of my coaches. There's a difference between clean pain and dirty pain. We've already talked about the clean pain. It's whatever you feel as a result of what you're experiencing. Remember, this is a normal reaction to an abnormal event. That's what you're supposed to feel. Dirty pain is the unnecessary pain that we feel because of our own stinking thinking. When we create stories that create additional trauma for us or make it more difficult for us to move forward. That's what we're calling dirty pain. As I share that with you, you might be able to relate. Oh yeah, what I'm going through is clean pain. Or you might be thinking, I wonder if I've slipped into some of that dirty pain. We usually know that we've slipped into dirty pain when we make negative predictions about the future, or when we unnecessarily beat up on ourselves for whatever the surprise was. That's dirty pain. And the first step that we need to cover to overcome dirty pain is what I call metacognition. This is going to a higher level of thinking. See, cognition means thinking. Metacognition is a higher level. It's thinking about thinking. Think about your own thinking. If your thoughts are in what I call the victim mindset, you will be blaming yourself or someone else for what happened. Okay, that's probably stinking thinking. You will be asking questions like, why me? Why did this have to happen to me? Now, while a certain amount of that is normal, if we get stuck in that pattern, it creates dirty pain. Why you? I told you about my car accident. What kind of people get into car accidents? Now, it might be tempting to say the distracted people, the drunk people, the ones who are being careless. Yeah, and who are they going to hit? See, the person who hit me came through a red light at 40 miles per hour. People like that get into accidents, don't they? And people like me who happen to be there. So the kind of people who get into accidents are the kind of people who get into cars. Right? Does that sound right to you? So when we're asking, why me, we're actually whining. And I think we can get off of that into, well, why not me? Am I not just as qualified to have this kind of an experience as anyone else? That sounds weird to a lot of people, but it's absolutely legitimate. You get to pick your position. Will it be a victim position or will it be an agent position? One of them will cause you dirty pain. The other one will allow you to move on and through whatever the surprise was. Now, I've made my whole career on helping people to work through the surprises of life. And the most powerful process, bar none, that I have encountered in my career is to clearly distinguish between circumstances, thoughts, and feelings. Just tell you real quick what I mean by that. So the circumstance is I'm pulling through an intersection and I get hit by someone going the other direction at 40 miles per hour. That's the circumstance. It's just the news report. It's just the data. Now, what are my thoughts? My thoughts are the story or the narrative that I create about that. So it might be, oh, I had a terrible day. All right, well, that's a thought. It's not true. It's just I had a day, right? An incident occurred. Something terrible happened to me this morning. No, I was hit by another vehicle. Okay, so the circumstance is just the data, but the thoughts, the narrative, the story about it are what gives the meaning to me, and that creates my feeling. And so if my story is I had a terrible day, my feeling is going to be discouragement or depression. What if my thought is I had such a lucky experience this morning? Okay, that's still a story. It's not the circumstance, but it's my story about it. I'm going to feel very differently about it if I have that story. And the coaching that I do with my clients is really focused on what are the circumstances, just the data. What is the story I'm creating? Those are the thoughts. And then what are the feelings? Now, feelings can typically be described in one word. Okay, one word. That's how you can tell you're on a feeling. Sometimes my clients will say, well, I feel like whatever. If you say I feel like, you're about to share a thought, not a feeling. Feeling can be one word, okay? Disappointment, discouragement, depression, rejection. Okay, these are all one word feeling words. And that's important because if you want to change the feeling, guess what? You get to work on the thoughts. We can't change circumstances. Feelings automatically follow. It's the thoughts where we have some power to intervene and make a difference. This is how we're going to stay out of the dirty pain. And that's kind of hard to do because we're stuck inside of our own mind. That's where coaching comes in. I've mentioned that I do coaching, and I would be happy to help you to stay out of some of that stinking thinking so that you can clear up some of the dirty pain and keep moving forward with these unwanted surprises. Go to the URL on the screen, go.liveonpurposecentral.com. That's where you'll find my coaching platform. I've got programs there to help you stay clear on your own thinking so that you can keep moving forward. I hope you come visit us. Go.liveonpurposecentral.com.